And I still, you know, with the greatest respect to those guys, I don't think they knew who he was. That he makes this profound music. And then I heard this one track by him called Traveling Alone, which is the first track on the album that I thought was like nothing else.
Among the albums that influenced him most were records that demonstrated narrative power in songwriting. Clapton has always been drawn to songs that tell stories, whether about love, heartbreak, or resilience. Early blues and rock albums exposed him to the idea that a song could be both musically compelling and emotionally resonant. Eric pays attention to lyrics as much as chords, explained a producer who worked closely with him. He's always been a storyteller, and these albums taught him how to weave narrative into music seamlessly. Several albums on the list also introduced Clapton to genre fusion. By blending rock, blues, and even touches of jazz or folk, these records encouraged him to experiment with his own sound. He realized music didn't have to fit neatly into a box, said a longtime collaborator. These albums showed him that innovation comes from combining influences and trusting your instincts. Another key influence was albums that explored atmosphere and texture. Clapton is known for his sensitivity to tone, dynamics, and production quality, and certain records taught him the power of sonic layering. By listening to how other artists built moods, created tension, and released it through carefully crafted arrangements, Clapton honed his ability to make every note count. He's meticulous about sound, said a sound engineer. These albums helped him understand how to create depth, emotion, and tension in his recordings. Live albums also played a crucial role in shaping his songwriting. Hearing the energy of a crowd, the spontaneity of improvisation, and the rawness of live performance gave Clapton insight into how songs could evolve over time. He learned that a song isn't fixed, said a music journalist. It can breathe, stretch, and take on new meaning depending on how it's performed. That influenced how he approached writing and arranging his own tracks. Interestingly, some of the albums that influenced him most were unconventional choices, records outside mainstream rock that emphasized experimentation, mood, or personal expression. These albums challenged Clapton to think differently about structure, harmony, and emotional impact. He's always been open-minded, said a collaborator. Eric listens to everything, and he finds lessons in unexpected places. That's part of why his music has such range. Several records on the list also highlighted collaborations and the chemistry between artists. Clapton admired albums where musicians communicated effortlessly, building layers of sound that complemented each other perfectly. These examples reinforced his belief in the importance of collaboration, mutual respect, and listening, values that have defined his own sessions throughout his career. He saw how bands could elevate each other, said a producer. That's something he strives for in every project he touches. Clapton also credits certain albums with teaching him restraint. Some of the most powerful records he studied were those where less was more, where musicians knew when to step forward and when to let space and silence carry the song. Eric is a master of timing and touch, a friend explained. These albums helped him understand that a single note can speak louder than a flurry of notes. By sharing the albums that shaped his songwriting and sound evolution, Clapton gives fans a rare insight into his creative process. These records were more than inspiration. They were blueprints for how to craft music that resonates emotionally, evolves sonically, and stands the test of time. They helped a young guitarist become a songwriter and musician whose work continues to influence generations. At 80, Clapton's reflection on these albums is both a celebration and a lesson. Great music inspires, challenges, and transforms. The albums that shaped him didn't just influence songs. They shaped an entire career, leaving an enduring legacy in the world of rock. At 80, Eric Clapton's reflection on his favorite rock albums isn't just a nostalgic trip through history. It's a testament to the enduring power of music and its ability to shape a lifetime. The final segment of his top 10 list reveals the albums that continue to resonate with him today, influencing not only his playing, but his understanding of artistry, collaboration, and emotional expression. Clapton has always been drawn to records that balance technical skill with emotional depth. Many of the albums in this part of the list are celebrated for their groundbreaking production, songwriting, and arrangements. They exemplify the marriage of creativity and craft, showing how every element of a record, from instrumentation to vocal delivery, contributes to an unforgettable experience. According to insiders, Clapton frequently revisits these albums, both as a musician and as a listener seeking inspiration. He doesn't just admire them, he studies them, said a producer who has worked with him. Every listen teaches him something new. Some of the records are classic rock staples, defining genres and influencing countless artists beyond Clapton himself. These albums inspired him to experiment with tone, phrasing, and compositional structure, allowing him to evolve his own sound over decades. Eric's approach to guitar and songwriting reflects what he absorbed from these records. A collaborator explained, "They gave him a template for blending melody, emotion, and technical skill. Others are more unexpected choices, albums that highlight subtlety, restraint, or experimental approaches." Clapton admires the way these records challenge traditional forms, proving that music doesn't have to be loud or flashy to be impactful. "He's always appreciated nuance," said a longtime friend. "He understands that a single note, a quiet passage, or an unconventional chord can carry as much weight as the most elaborate solos." Live albums also feature prominently in this segment of the list. Clapton has always valued the energy of performance, the interaction with an audience, and the spontaneous evolution of a song on stage. These recordings remind him of the human connection inherent in music, reinforcing his belief that songs are living entities that grow and change with each performance. He listens to live albums to study dynamics and emotion, explained a producer. It's part of how he keeps his own performances fresh and authentic. Beyond their musical influence, these albums also resonate with Clapton on a personal level. Many of them evoke memories of pivotal moments in his life, tours, collaborations, and periods of reflection. They serve as touchstones, linking his past experiences with his ongoing creative journey. "Music has always been a companion for him," a journalist noted. "These albums are more than inspiration. They're milestones in his personal and professional life." One of the most striking aspects of Clapton's selections is the balance between reverence for classic rock and appreciation for innovation. He celebrates albums that honor tradition while pushing boundaries, reflecting his own career as an artist who respects history but continually seeks growth. Eric's list shows that he values both mastery and experimentation, said a fellow musician. "It's a reminder that greatness comes from understanding the past, while boldly exploring new territory." Finally, Clapton's reflections on these albums underscore a lifelong philosophy: the pursuit of excellence, curiosity, and emotional authenticity in music. Even at 80, he remains a student of his craft, constantly inspired by the records that shaped him. The list offers fans an intimate look into the albums that guided one of rock's most iconic figures, revealing how they informed his guitar work, songwriting, and approach to performance. By sharing his top 10 albums today, Eric Clapton not only honors the artists and records that influenced him, but also reminds us all of the lasting impact of great music. These albums are more than soundtracks. They are lessons in creativity, emotion, and artistry, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire musicians and listeners alike. At the end of the day, Clapton's list is a celebration of music, of growth, and of a life devoted to the pursuit of excellence. It's a reminder that the albums we love can shape not just our tastes, but the very essence of who we are as artists, fans, and human beings. Eric Clapton, one of the greatest guitarists of all time, has shaped the sound of rock and blues for decades. From his iconic riffs to his soulful solos, Clapton's influence is unparalleled. But while fans know him for his music, few know which albums truly shaped his personal taste. Until now, at the age of 80, Clapton has finally shared his list of 10 rock albums that he considers his absolute favorites. This revelation offers a rare glimpse into the musical inspirations and personal favorites of a living legend, spanning decades of rock history. His choices are not only a reflection of his own musical journey, but also a window into the albums that influenced his style, creativity, and artistry. Sources close to Clapton say the guitarist approached the list with deep thought, carefully reflecting on albums that left lasting impressions on him. He wasn't rushed, a longtime friend said. Every selection had a story, a reason why it mattered to him personally, not just professionally. The albums range from classic rock milestones to blues-infused masterpieces, highlighting the music that inspired Clapton's signature guitar tone and emotional expression. Fans and fellow musicians alike have been buzzing since the list was revealed, debating the inclusions, the surprises, and the albums that didn't make the cut. Now, for the first time, Clapton's personal favorites are being shared, along with the stories behind each selection, the memories they evoke, and the impact they had on one of rock's most legendary careers. Whether you're a lifelong fan or a casual listener, this list offers an intimate look into the albums that shaped the heart and soul of Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton's influence on rock and blues is undeniable. Known as Slow Hand, he has mesmerized generations with his guitar playing, soulful solos, and ability to convey deep emotion through music. But behind every iconic riff and heartfelt performance lies a lifetime of listening, learning, and absorbing the albums that shaped him. At 80, Clapton has finally shared the 10 rock albums that left the most significant mark on his career, a list that offers fans a rare glimpse into the mind of a living legend. The first thing to understand about Clapton's choices is that they are intensely personal. While some albums are widely recognized as classics, others reflect moments in his life when music profoundly influenced his emotions, creativity, and perspective. According to sources close to the guitarist, he approached the selection process with care, reflecting on the albums that not only inspired him, but also shaped his approach to music. "Eric didn't make this list lightly," said a longtime friend. "Each album has a story behind it, a memory that sticks with him even now." One of the early albums on the list reportedly influenced Clapton's guitar technique. From intricate chord progressions to innovative riffs, the music inspired him to explore new styles and textures, helping him develop the signature sound that fans know and love. He listened to it over and over, dissecting each note, a collaborator said. It was like a masterclass in inspiration for him. Another album stood out for its emotional resonance. Clapton has always been a deeply expressive musician, and certain records helped him connect with the raw feeling that would become central to his solos and compositions. According to insiders, he often returned to this album during difficult times, drawing comfort, energy, and motivation from the music. "Eric's relationship with music is profound," said a producer. "It's not just entertainment for him, it's nourishment for the soul." Several albums on the list are also notable for their production, arrangements, and innovative approaches. Clapton, who has spent decades in studios and on stage, has a keen ear for detail. He admires records that push boundaries, combine genres, and demonstrate creativity in composition and instrumentation. "He appreciates artistry on every level," said a music journalist. "From songwriting to performance to recording, he notices it all." Interestingly, the list spans decades, reflecting the evolution of rock music alongside Clapton's own career. Some albums are from the early years of rock and blues, formative records that inspired his teenage self. Others are from later decades, representing periods when Clapton was experimenting with new styles or seeking fresh inspiration. "It's a timeline of influence," said a collaborator. You can almost trace his musical journey through these 10 albums. Fans have been particularly excited to learn not just the albums themselves, but the stories behind them. According to insiders, Clapton shared anecdotes about the first time he heard certain songs, the feelings they evoked, and how they influenced specific solos or compositions in his own work. It's fascinating to hear him describe how an album shaped his approach to guitar, melody, or lyricism, said a producer. The list also demonstrates Clapton's humility and respect for other artists. While he is undoubtedly one of the greatest musicians of all time, he openly credits these albums for shaping his development. He acknowledges that his success didn't happen in isolation, a journalist explained. Eric recognizes the giants whose shoulders he stands on, and this list is a testament to that gratitude. By sharing his 10 favorite rock albums, Eric Clapton offers fans more than a list. He provides a roadmap of his influences, a window into his creative process, and an intimate view of a musician reflecting on 8 decades of life and music. It's a celebration of artistry, inspiration, and the enduring power of rock. Eric Clapton's guitar playing has been the cornerstone of his legendary career. From the raw blues of his early days to the polished rock sound of his later years, Clapton's solos have captivated fans around the world. But what many don't realize is that his mastery wasn't born in isolation. A series of albums, carefully selected and cherished by Clapton, played a pivotal role in shaping his technique, style, and musical philosophy. According to insiders, several albums on Clapton's list had a profound influence on his guitar work. One early record introduced him to intricate finger-picking techniques and blues scales that would later become staples of his signature sound. He would spend hours dissecting every track, said a longtime friend. Every lick, every note. He wanted to understand how it was played and why it worked. Another influential album blended blues with rock, offering Clapton a glimpse into innovative chord progressions and melodic phrasing. This record, he recalled, inspired him to experiment with layering guitar parts and exploring tonal variations. It was like opening a door to a new world, he told insiders. I realized that guitar wasn't just an instrument. It was a voice, capable of conveying emotion in ways I hadn't imagined. Several albums featured groundbreaking guitarists whose technical skill impressed Clapton and motivated him to push his own boundaries. From slide guitar techniques to harmonics, these records were not just music but tutorials in mastery. Eric has always been a student of the guitar, explained a producer who worked with him. He studies the greats, learns from them, and then integrates those lessons into his own style. These albums were crucial in that process. Clapton also drew inspiration from live recordings. The energy, spontaneity, and improvisation captured in these albums demonstrated how a guitarist could command a stage, interact with a band, and respond to the audience. Live albums taught him timing, pacing, and emotional delivery, a collaborator said. They weren't just performances, they were lessons in connecting with listeners. One album in particular was a revelation for Clapton's approach to tone and sound. Its production emphasized warmth, clarity, and dynamics, teaching him the importance of subtlety and restraint. Clapton reportedly returned to this album repeatedly, experimenting with guitar settings and effects to replicate the feel and depth he admired. It's a masterclass in tone, he said. I learned that every note counts, and how you play it can change everything. Several records on the list also highlighted the emotional power of music. Clapton, known for expressing pain, joy, and longing through his guitar, often found inspiration in albums where emotion was central. From slow, melancholic blues tracks to driving rock anthems, these records demonstrated that technical skill alone isn't enough. Feeling must come through in every note. Eric's playing is always emotional, said a fellow musician. He learned early that conveying feeling is just as important as playing cleanly or fast. Interestingly, Clapton credits some albums with influencing his songwriting as well. By studying how other artists combined melody, chord structure, and soloing, he learned to craft songs where the guitar wasn't just accompaniment, but a storyteller. He absorbed everything, explained a producer. Not just the solos, but the phrasing, the timing, the dynamics. It all shaped how he approaches his own compositions. Finally, Clapton's reflections on these albums underscore his lifelong dedication to learning. Even after decades at the top of the music world, he continues to listen, study, and find inspiration in the work of others. That's the mark of a true musician, a friend said. You never stop learning, and you never stop appreciating the artistry of those who came before you. By sharing the albums that shaped his guitar mastery, Clapton reveals the foundations of his artistry. These records are more than influences. They are the lessons, challenges, and inspirations that allowed a young guitarist to grow into a world-renowned icon. For fans, it's a rare glimpse into the tools that built one of rock's greatest careers. Eric Clapton's musical journey.